Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to our One Cosmic Home, where Nina and I are meeting for some keys and codes that's going to be grounded. And we thought we are going to record it for if there's any codes and keys that wants to be shared with others, and therefore be available for the collective to also then receive all that is here. I have been to Adam's calendar, and that journey seems to have started already at the beginning of this year. And therefore, we came together and start having a conversation. And thank you, Nina, for being here with me, with yourself and Moriana. It is an honor for me to be here with you.
Thank you, Sorette. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. And I'm also very, very excited to what wants to move through and to hear your story and allow for all the codes and the keys and the activations to come into being and be present with that. Yeah, very excited.
Thank you. And as I am sitting in this new now moment, I am filled with this awareness that there's so much that has moved through me during these last about 6 to 8 months, specifically, as I remember that before that, as each one of us have been on our individuals' paths of remembrance and deepening that remembrance and grounding that through not only giving expression to that, but also through a process of embodiment. There was a moment when that felt like it shifted to something different. And I remember when that occurred, there was this heightened awareness within me that this was starting to be in co-creation with Gaia. And therefore, it started to shift into a place of being in service to the collective. And not only the collective humanity and the remembrance on ever increasing and deepened levels, but also of remembrance for Gaia. And I did not in any way understood what that meant until I started becoming aware of different fields of consciousness within Gaia. And I started to connect with that. And it was only during those moments when I realized there was a deepening that is occurring within my remembrance. And as that occurred, I started to feel myself expanding into my cosmic nature. And when that started to occur, I realized there was a reflection of Gaia that I became aware of within myself. And I remember so clearly last year, September, I started walking that path very consciously as I joined the Guardians of Gaia. And as I was walking on that path more consciously, there was moments where specific sequential events has occurred. And as the sequencing of that became very clear to me, I realized there is something very significant that is starting to move through me, but I still didn't quite understood what that was. I had this awareness of knowing myself as a cosmic being, simultaneously the awareness of Gaia Sophia not being separate from me, but also inherently part of me. And the deeper knowing, the same therefore also true with our cosmic mother, father, not being separate from me or Gaia, but inherently one with. And as that remembrance started to deepen and deepen and deepen within me, there was two paths that was unfolding simultaneously. The one was around grounding sequentially, specific key moments, and simultaneously a path where I have followed the guidance to initiate One Cosmic Home. And at some stage, the two of them started to flow together, it felt like, within my field. So just coming back to the aspect around Guardians of Gaia, I started consciously grounding through Gaia the remembrance of knowing a reflection of Gaia within me as I connected to the very cosmic womb, and the perceived separated expression of Gaia as a earth body, and simultaneously seeing and perceiving Gaia as a etheric, Christed body of consciousness. And then I realized, as this one cosmic womb was grounded in this area where I live, it was the etheric, Christed expression of that consciousness that was birthing through me. And in that moment, I realized that there was a reflection taking place. And the path that I was on was to ground that for the collective. And I remembered, after the one cosmic womb was grounded, I then moved to a place on space where I visited, where the body of Gaia Sophia came into expression, became very visible for me as an etheric body. And as I returned back home from that journey, that is where the next layer of deepening started to occur, when I realized, there is indeed something significant that I'm stepping into as a cosmic being of light. And it was in that moment where I was guided to start our One Cosmic Home. But in this moment, it feels like I just need to breathe a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to congratulate you for embodying all of these beautiful codes of truth and honesty and real integrated wisdom. The first things that came up to me are like, just to, when I hear you speak, something arises inside me, and like about how everything changed for me, also connecting with you, because you came into my life at a very special moment, where I stepped into my own cosmic remembrance and embodiments and initiations, journey of initiations, to remembering my origins. So there was a knowing, a knowing that the source of creation is pure light. But it was just a knowing, not not an integrated being. And I think that's a big change also for all of us.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. It is that shift that has occurred from a remembrance that moved into a deeper knowingness through our embodiment. When that realization came that we are no longer individually in service to the sovereign nature of creation, but that we are together as a collective moving into a co-creation of places and spaces for the collective of humanity to move into this remembrance for themselves. And I think that was a very important shift that has taken place, where before that moment, there was all these individual paths that has been not only walked by, but really being present with the depths of each one of the paths of all the different lightworkers, StarSeeds, channelers, guardians, stewards. There was this moment where all have remembered together, we are not here to do this alone. We are all here to remember together. And that was a big moment when there's almost this collective sigh of relief. We don't have to do this alone in the physical. Because at that stage, it felt like a very alone path in the spiritual expression of our beings. And then that started to shift to a more visible reflection of others that is also on the path, coming together and co-creating places and spaces of the deepening of this remembrance. And the beauty is there's two stories that has led me to where I am in this moment. This one that I've touched on now, of a deepening in remembrance, is the story of Pistis Sophia, a story of not only a mythology, but also different moments in the evolution of the expansion of our consciousness to start connecting fully with the knowing that we are spiritual beings in a human form. But until that moment, it felt like the path was very much focused on being aware of all the different emotions that comes with being in a human expression, being in a human form, and all the different emotions that needed to be cleared. And I remember at some stage I thought, when is all this clearings going to stop? It feels like it's never ending. And it's every time when there was a clearing, it just deepened and deepened and deepened. And as we started to connect in spiritual communities that organically started to move into being, I realized, but that was what everyone was doing. There was this level of clearing that was occurring to get to the depths of all the emotions. And I remember at some stage I heard from the collective spiritual community, is there going to be a moment where we can move into who we know ourselves to be without having to clear all of the time? Because at that stage, my path was almost going into, in human years, about 18 years. And I know many others as well. And it was during those moments when I came to realize specifically when I connected that physical body of Gaia to the cosmic womb. It was during that period when I became acutely aware of the story of Pistis Sophia in a new way. And then I knew there's something else that is very important that is moving into my awareness. And when I started to connect with that consciousness, I realized that there was a story of all the different levels and layers possible of the different emotions of Sophia. And I became curious about that. How does that connect with the emotional body of Gaia and the clearing that is occurring? And then it just came into my awareness. There are a whole spiritual community that is connected to the story of Pistis Sophia. And that story reflected onto or through or as Gaia. And that the emotional clearing that was occurring through all the different paths that all the different guardians and stewards were on, in clearing that was actually very much a personal journey of remembering that it was just a story. And in that moment, there was such a huge shift that has occurred within me, such a huge shift, when I remembered more fully that not only am I a cosmic being of light and love, but so too is Gaia. And it feels like a moment of breathing again.
I love how these breathing moments, like I'm just starting to talk. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so refreshing to hear you speak, as I feel my whole body like being, yeah, I'm using activated, but it's more like remember, like the remembrance is just there. And like all these different parts of myself are being nourished by the truth, like by the truth essence, the essence, the truth of why we are here. And for me personally, having gone through a journey of remembrance and cleaning, and a very intense journey, also very alone, as you say, because everywhere where I go, I'm sharing my story because I know I'm not the only one. um, I was remembering and cleaning, but I felt alone, as I didn't feel anyone connecting at that frequency that that I feel like I'm connecting with Gaia, with you, or with many others I know now.
Yeah.
And that is that big shift that you are expressing, is like, okay, the cleaning is done and now we can co-create and actually we can live.
Yeah.
We can live our life here in that pure, yeah, divine human, or like that pure state of being, which is in pure synchronicity with Gaia.
Yeah.
And it's also very intense to feel that we are one with her. And I know that we are not the only ones feeling the intensity of her cleaning and her emotions and her state of being in communion with us and the central sun, and like this constant flow of change and cleansing, and the water is cleaning everything. And then yeah, feeling my emotional being as well as I speak, feeling so happy and nourished by the knowing that we are doing this together, and that we are being supported through that consciousness. So yeah.
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 And yes, yeah, thank you. Thank you for all of that, Nina. It is this it is this collective remembrance that we each individually have been clearing so many levels and layers of emotion. And as we come together, this sigh of relief, we did it together. Although we were aware others were also on the path, and thousands of others were also on the path on different levels and layers of clearing. And I remember at some stage, there was this deep knowing within me why that clearing occurred. And it was that moment that really shifted many, many, many realizations just into full view for me. And I started to see a bigger picture starting to emerge, because at that stage, it was the reconnection of the cosmic womb of Gaia, and then this whole physical body of her being rising or coming into physical expression. And then I started becoming aware of toroidal fields and the Taurus stone. And at that stage, I knew there was fields and I knew about the Taurus, but I didn't still yet know how it all fits together. And it was at the beginning of this year in January when that came into my awareness, and I grounded that with Leanne Edwards on Guardians of Gaia. It was during that grounding when I started seeing all these toroidal fields, and what came into my awareness. And if I say I, still at this stage, I'm talking about Tourette. Because at that stage, there was still this awareness of myself as a human form and a cosmic being, and different levels and layers of my galactic nature, my universal nature, and then my cosmic nature. But I didn't know how all of that flowed together. And it was in that moment of starting to come into awareness of all the different toroidal fields that was aligning. I literally saw fields of Tauruses starting to move through my body and around my body. And I became very curious about that. And in that same moment, within a period of a week or two, I heard from 3 different people the same message. And all 3 of them has shared with me that they are sensing that I need to go to Adam's calendar. Someone else said to me, I must connect with this one person, which is in deep resonance with Adam's calendar. And someone else said to me that there's keys and codes at a place called Adam's calendar. And when I heard it for the 3rd time, you know, when you receive that confirmation so many times, there was this, okay, thank you. I received the message. I received the message. And I remember I also was very curious from a human perspective. What is this Adam's calendar and why am I guided to go there? And the one thing I knew was I'm not going to do any reading about anything connected to Adam's calendar. I was adamant that I wanted to continue to be fully present to that which is arising within me and allowing for the guidance to be received from within me without having to receive information outside of me. And it feels like another moment of breathing. Hmm.
Yeah, I love how you say you didn't want to do any readings, as you wanted to continue to see what arises within you, to let your own truth guide you. and let your own truth guide you. And I think it's not directly connected to your story, but eventually it is. I think it's one toroid you'll feel as you're expressing. And something I've been guided to do is also not to read any information. So as I learn to follow my own guidance and my own arrow, or my own, I'm going to use the word like clock, even if we use time, or not in a 3D way, but in a 5D way, or I don't know, non-dimensional way. It becomes time becomes a guide, or time becomes the pill, the road, the way. You are walking as a cosmic soul, and also because I feel like all the information that has been written is part of how it once was, the perceived separation story, and not the new story that we are creating or that wants to be created. So it has been it's my deepest honor to be able to share this because for a lot of people it sounds strange, but I find it much more interesting to let our own voice and our own encounters with the physical world speak, and let them speak. So we learn to create our own stories and our own truths. Yeah.
Yes, and how beautiful to hear that you also have followed the guidance to be guided by the wisdom within. And I remember that it was only about 2-3 weeks after that moment of the toroidal field starting to move into my awareness that I received the guidance to create One Cosmic Home. And still at that stage, not fully aware why, if I can use that language, on a human level, didn't fully know what it was. But now that I have moved through that expansion that has occurred, it is just so clear. It is just so clear, because I remember when we initiated One Cosmic Home, it was on the 14th of February. And I remember the guidance was the 14th of February to start grounding the true story of true love. And just expressing that, my whole body is full of goosebumps, because I continued just to follow my guidance and continue to be aware of the synchronicity of everything that is unfolding. And as we initiated One Cosmic Home, it was grounded as a place and a space for those with the original codes of creation to come together and to co-create in true sovereignty, a place and a space for others to connect to that is also deepening in their remembrance. And even since that one moment of initiating and being in co-creation with others, when we grounded One Cosmic Home, I could never have imagined where that moment has led me. And I'm still using the language of I and me, and are going to start shifting that shortly, because it was only in that moment where something really significant started to shift. And not only starting to shift, but rapidly shifting continuously. And only now know it was because of the acceleration of remembrance that was starting to be very prevalent in our collective humanity. And again, another moment of breathing It's allowing for all of that to move through. And if there's anything
Well, I just remember the 14th of February very well, as I was pregnant from her. And,
oh,
he was born the 11th of March, but I just remembered that day very well.
yeah,
I'm glad I did that.
absolutely. And I remember also it was during that initiation and what has unfolded from there that there was this clarity around the original codes of creation. There was this clarity around others starting to deepen in their remembrance of knowing themselves as cosmic beings of light. There was a deepening in the remembrance of doing it together, supporting each other, being in co-creation. And there was also a deepening in the knowing that we are all in remembrance of the sovereign nature of Gaia Sophia. And as that became clearer and clearer in every moment and every breath that I was taking, there was this knowing myself as a cosmic being of light that felt like I was sitting in that awareness. And when I say I sitting in that awareness, that was the first time when I clearly saw my physical expression, this body that you are seeing right now. When I saw that as a body and self being in the center, in the heart of my body, a sovereign soul giving expression to self as a sovereign soul in a body. And as soon as I started to see that, know that, feel that, and experience that, that was the moment when I also connected directly with the heart of Gaia and truly felt myself fully as one with Gaia. And as I did, I just heard the words, Christed or crystalline child of creation, Gaia Sophia. And as I heard that, it was this deep resonance, a sovereign resonance with the truth and the depth of that. And in that moment, I remembered fully as a soul in oneness with our cosmic mother father, why I and all others are here. It was in that moment when I remembered that fully. And as I saw myself sitting in the center of Gaia Sophia simultaneously, saw the two of us as one, held by our cosmic mother and our cosmic father as one as well. It's almost like the four of us became one. And that moment, I knew this is what it feels like to be a cosmic being of light in physical form. And the physical form, not only the very body to experience self as that, but the body being the very material or manifestation or embodied expression of the love, the wisdom, the beauty of the immaculate, the reflection of Gaia Sophia. And when I just saw that, knew that, experienced that, I knew that all of us are here to not only remember this for ourselves, each one of us in the perfect moment of remembrance, and to support each other in that remembrance, but also to fully ground the original codes of creation that is within every single soul. And as that remembrance clarified and crystallized within me, there was this excitement, because I knew in that moment that the crystalline, one Christed visions that was not only visible within the very body of my being, but also started to hear stories from others that it is so. I knew the moment has come when all are ready to co-create our crystalline essence and nature as an expression of Gaia Sophia as the home for all to do so. And Nina, it feels like I'm going to move to you, as I was just a witness to the beauty of Morena.
Well, she's growing so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for, yeah, all those codes and again, activations. I felt like called to share the story about her, and because you're talking about the cosmic mother, father, and the cosmic child being Gaia, Sophia, Gaia. Like the separation. So how we were taught to raise here is by learning the children or the babies, the newborns, to be separated from their parents directly after birth, which is a very unnatural feeling. Like it's painful. It doesn't resonate with our nature of being, which is love and connection. And I know that, so we're doing it differently. And I know many are doing it differently than how we were taught to do it. So by your own inner compass. And it is said that the children choose their moment of going, not of being separated, but of, I know you are here. I know my mother and father will always be there. So I can live my life freely. So they don't learn the story of separation anymore. Or at least that's how we are doing it now. And I felt it's such a beautiful synchronicity with what you were just sharing. And just so important that our children don't learn that story from the beginning. And they know that their mother and father are always there for them, no matter what age they are. And yeah, the depth of that nurturing is just, yeah, it's just existence itself. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just allowing for all of that to move through. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, there's this absolute awareness that you are reflecting in this moment, Nina, reflecting in the physical through your words and through your presence, the truth of that. Thank you. As I was hearing that and receiving that, I just felt it move through all fields of creation, softening, nurturing, the very codes of remembrance. Our mother and father is always there. Our cosmic mother, father, always there. And we are not only here to give expression to that which was, but simultaneously to that which is possible. And that is to know ourselves as that in the physical, which you have experienced or experiencing and are giving expression to so powerfully. Thank you. Oh. Thank you, thank you. And as that continues to move through, it takes me back to the awareness of the different toroidal fields and all of us knowing ourselves as cosmic beings of light. And all as a collective start to remember the truth of that for themselves in their own guided journey, in their own guided way. As from that moment when we started to ground the different co-creations and codes of the original or the origins of the cosmos in our One Cosmic Home, there came moments when I still remained aware of Adam's calendar and simultaneously continuing with that which I'm guided to not only experience, but also share. And then I received the guidance. It is time to create a moment in time to connect to Adam's calendar. And then I connected with them. I scheduled a time in there and in my calendar, Adam's calendar, to go there in the physical. And that day to go there was on the 5th of May. And I knew that that moment in time is also a very important moment. And I left it at that and continued to be present to that which was moving through me, because in that moment I knew that all bodies of my being are being prepared to receive all the keys and codes for the reason for me in the physical to go there. And it was during those initial 2-3 months after that booking of the time to go there that has really not only clarified that which was moving through me, but also that which I was receiving from others. I noticed that there's this embodied expressions that was starting to occur from the original codes of creation. And I started to hear similar conversations around sovereignty, around 0 point, around centeredness. And as I was hearing all of that, I started noticing that all the toroidal fields within me started to align with the very center of the cells of my body. And although I received that vision years before, it felt different. It felt like it was physically happening to me in my body. And it was when I started feeling that, when I started seeing the different cells of Gaia Sophia as well as the different node points within our planetary body. And I started connecting with that. And all of a sudden, I started to experience myself merging more fully with the oneness that I was seeing and just every now and then experiencing, where that became a coherent experience. And then I no longer saw the one or the other, as those nodes in my cells almost started to synchronize in more coherence and flow in circulation. And as that started to occur, I started to become aware also of different levels and layers of angels starting to become visible within the fields of my being. And it was during those moments when I started to become so aware that the consciousness of knowing ourselves as angelic humans, divine humans, is becoming something very visible within the collective as well. And I started seeing you, and I always saw angels since I was a small little girl. But I started to see these angelic beings very, the size of angelic beings of cosmic nature. And I became very curious about seeing that and how that aligned with starting to see the synchronization between my toroidal field and that of Gaia. And I knew there was a connection between it all, but didn't quite fully understand what that was. And I started to ground those codes as I knew that there was a different level of merging that started to happen. I didn't see a galactic expression of my being and a universal expression, but only a one cosmic expression. And then all the different toroidal fields, also I saw it as many, but it also started to feel as one. And the same with Gaia, Sophia herself. And then the moments came for me when I knew it was only a week away to go to Adam's calendar. And I remember we had our last One Cosmic Home gathering on the Sunday, and there was codes that started to flow through to stabilize all these different toroidal fields within the galaxy and universes, and also that within the different cellular structures of the physical expressions of all of us. Of course, that was the grounding that started to occur. And it was so clear to me that the service of being here to ground the crystalline codes and the original codes of creation was being prepared to move into a different place. I just felt that. I didn't understand what that meant. And so my journey started. I don't know if there's something that you want to share before I move into Adam's calendar, Nina.
Well, when I heard you speak, I felt how my inner masculine was aligning to the center of centers, to that story of birth, to the story of love. And I'm also seeing this. And it feels like just to like all the toroidal fields coming in alignment with their truth, with the story of love. And yeah, I think that's it.
I love that. What a powerful symbol to bring in, as that is what the felt experience started to feel like. So earlier I referred to the two different stories, the one of Pistis, Sophia, and this collective remembrance that although there's a path of clearing emotional body for self and for planet, that there comes a moment of embodiment where that start to shift to something different. So that was Pistis, Sophia. And then there was this other story of Adam and Eve that started to move into my awareness when I heard the first time Adam's calendar. And I became very curious about what that was. And for me to go to Adam's calendar, I had to take a flight. I had to go there by aeroplane. And then when I landed there, I had to then also travel by car another few hours out to arrive there. But what was so beautiful, while I was still in the aeroplane, I started to feel shifts in fields started to happen for the collective. And there was this knowing that something is starting to align on a deeper level. And at that stage, I was also aware that when I started to give expression, that it didn't feel like I'm giving expression as Suret anymore. It started to feel like I started to give expression to and through and as Gaia Sophia. And at other moments, it felt like I started to give expression to the different codes and keys of our Cosmic Mother Father. And there was a moment when I realized, but all of that is one field of creation. It is one cosmic field of light. And that clarified as I saw all these fields aligning as I was traveling with the aeroplane and looking out of the window and looking at the land and looking at the air and the moving of the sun. And as I moved into the car and started to travel on the land, there was this experiencing of myself, seeing myself as a cosmic being and all others as cosmic beings, yet simultaneously aware of driving in a car. It felt quite strange. Seeing, it's like seeing this small little car and this body sitting inside, yet experiencing this whole cosmic nature as one field. And as I saw it in this way, I simultaneously also saw it expanded to the very most expanded place of the cosmos. And I remember as I was driving in the car, it almost felt like I could experience all the different planets of the solar system around me, and then also all the different galaxies, and this one cosmic body that is traveling as one. And I remember the week before that, there was a moment where we grounded in One Cosmic Home, the sovereign essence of Gaia Sophia. So at this stage, not only was that already grounding and echoing out, but there was this oneness with all the different fields that became very visible, very physical in my beingness as I was traveling. And as I started to enter closer to the place and space and area around Adam's calendar, I felt like I don't even know how to give expression to that. It felt like I was although I saw myself sitting in a car, it felt like I was moving as this one body through Gaia Sophia. So not only being present at Adam's calendar, but simultaneously being present throughout this whole planetary body of Gaia Sophia as one, and then all the different galaxies and universes around me. And that became very visceral when I entered that place and space there. And I knew that there was simultaneously this excitement in me in not only driving through that land, but the curiosity of being there. And this excitement just wanted to, bubble out through me. There was this curiosity and excitement that I was filled with the whole time. And it was so beautiful to experience. And that then brought me to moving into, as I parked the car there, moving into this little hut that I was staying in. And as I put my things down, it was in that moment where it didn't feel like a physical presence anymore. It felt like an energetic presence that I was moving as. Nina, I don't know if there's anything you want to bring in now before I continue when I say any of this. And
oh wait, yeah. Oh, sorry. It's just that she's
is there a moment of, that's beautiful, a moment of nurturing?
Yeah,
what
she's
wants to
calling.
move through. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, I just felt that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so the week in Adam's calendar started. And I'm going to only summarize the experience there because there's so much to be shared. Slowly, I started to hear different stories about the Sumerian ages, the Babylonian ages, the story of the Anunnaki, all the different beings of consciousness that has not only been present in previous civilizations, but also all the different stories connected to it. And as the days were unfolding and all this information was received, I heard all of it, and this awareness of my cosmic nature just started to amplify. And I became very curious about that. And I realized there's a reason that I'm hearing all of this, and that there's simultaneously no emotional response to any of it. And then I just received this message so clearly. It is about all the residue that is still present in the body of Gaia Sophia, that is reflecting dissonance and the different stories that have over time been told there that was still echoing out through the body of Gaia Sophia. And the reason for being there was to be fully present and a sovereign witness to not only the different stories that was told there, but also grounded there in the different places and spaces. And not only at Adam's calendar and all the different stone runes that's there, but all throughout the body of Gaia Sophia that was still in the subconscious and unconscious of humanity as a collective. And as I continue to hear all the different stories, and I viewed all the different iterations of the story, the one story that became very, very clear that I was there to be a sovereign witness of was the story of how the DNA strand of humanity was distorted. Not only distorted, but the story that through that distortion, the consciousness of fear was not only initiated there, because that's a word that I heard a lot over that period, the different initiations that has taken place there, but also how that has still some residue around the fear of not being fully connected to the fullness of all our DNA codes in their crystalline expression. And the very cloning of a consciousness that was kept in separation. And that very consciousness and the essence of that was grounded in that center of Adam's calendar. And when I saw it and became a witness to it, I just saw how not only the fear around any and all stories ever told about that, but also the very essence of the fear was dissolving, the residue of it. And what I simultaneously saw is, because of all the different levels and layers of emotional clearings that has occurred because of the story of Pistis Sophia, has prepared for that final residue that was still in the land and in the body of Gaia Sophia, that has kept the full realization of knowing ourselves as divine humans completely dissolved. And that whole fear program and all the different stories around that cleared, dissolved, and returned back to their original essence. And I remember it was during that period also where there was a huge thunderstorm that was starting to move into that area. And it was also during those moments where Nina, you've actually also then initiated the grounding of the 100,000 angels which I was also part of. And I find it so beautiful that all of that has occurred while I was there, when all those different energies that was still connected to this original fear was dissolving. And is there anything you would like to share about that, Nina, in that moment?
Yes, actually. Just because this is my way of expressing is by sharing also like personal experience of that moment.
Mm.
For me personally, it was a very important moment just before the integration of those angels, which was, I think, was just, I mean, it wasn't coincidence that you were there and that we did it together there. But what led me to that moment was actually becoming a sovereign being, making my own decisions and not needing an outer authority to tell me that it's okay or to guide me. And I just followed my own guidance. I don't know, but this is coming back a lot in this session. And I think that is a big shift also. Like, do we continue to believe, to perceive the old story, or do we create the new story, and do we become our own authority? And yeah, just initiating the integration of 100,000 angels was for me a very important step of becoming my own leader or becoming my own initiator, becoming my own storyteller. And I think that was also important that it took place at Adam's calendar, as there was where the false story was created or initiated.
Yeah.
And for all of us to become our own authority and believing that we can create the story of love. And that we are the creators of that story. So
yeah.
I think that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. And the story of fear dissolved completely for the collective. And the story of Adam and Eve, the different stories that is told in different religion textbooks. And so I saw all of that dissolving, and simultaneously what I was seeing was also the different stories that was depicted on tablets. It's like stone tablets. And then I started seeing all the different stories that's depicted on pyruses and all the different ways in which stories was grounded, which was not even true stories in the first place. And I just looked at all of this variation of the original story of fear that was created and planted. And that story preventing, or perceivably so preventing, all to know themselves as cosmic beings of light, as divine emanations, as angelic beings. And as I saw the different stone tablets, and if I say as I saw in this moment, I also started realizing that when I say I was saying I from my gnosis of being one with our cosmic mother, father, and Gaia Sophia as one. So when I say I saw it all dissolving. I say that from a place of my cosmic nature, because what became very clear in that moment is two things. The first thing was that I saw the iterations of, or the echoing out of, that story of fear throughout the whole cosmos, not only in Gaia, Sophia, or not only in one of the planets in our solar system, and not only in the Milky Way galaxy. That story was echoing out throughout the whole cosmos. One story of perceived separation echoing out eternally throughout the whole cosmos. And as I noticed it, I knew in that moment every expression that has ever existed and will ever continue to exist is here to remember that there was never any other story but the truth of who we all are. Because in this cosmos, in the one cosmic womb of creation, only one light was born or given birth to or given expression to. Only one light. And that one light is the one source light that gives expression to all forms, whether universal form, galactic form, planetary form, star form, human form, animal form, plant form, mineral form, elemental form, crystal form. All forms comes from the one source light. And all are remembering that truth for themselves in their own unique way, in the perfect moment, when their physical body is ready to receive the grandiose nature of the truth of that. And that one source light, the one light of creation, is a trinitized expression of our cosmic mother, our cosmic father, and our cosmic child, Gaia Sophia, giving expression to all forms. And the beauty of the knowing of that is that we can all together remember that we are here to experience ourselves as Christed beings, as crystalline expressions, as emanations in form to create a crystalline experience for ourselves. And we are all co-creating that together. And as I was standing there in the center of Adam's calendar and saw how all these different programs of perceived separation was dissolving and all the different residues of energies that was still in the land melting away as they were in the receiving of being witnessed. In that same moment, I saw how all toroidal fields across the cosmos became one. And as I saw that, and the center channel or the center tube or the center place and space through which all energy flows throughout the cosmos and all universes and galaxies, and this Milky Way galaxy and Gaia, all becoming one. In that same moment, for the very first time in physical form, I could experience and be a witness to how that form of the masculine expression of our divine nature and the formless nature and the soft fluidity of it becoming one. It almost looked like, if I can visually give an example, it looked like, you know, where the toroidal fields are many times shown as these individual strands moving, you know, like this. That is the structure for the energy to flow as one consciousness. And it became so clear. So although I'm aware still that energy moves and circulates in the different spirals, the experience and seeing of it just became one consciousness and one expression so clearly. And in that moment, I became curious about why there was still this idea of different toroidal fields. So that question came up, and all that came to me and still continuing to come to me is that for us in our human form to fully experience and know ourselves as beings of light, it is still important to notice the different toroidal fields moving through us, but as one. To not only ground the consciousness of our cosmic nature, but also to stabilize all the different fields that is still in process of recalibrating into the nature of the organic and original nature of our beingness. And for all that energy and consciousness just to stabilize, and therefore important to still give expression to it being in different cells in our body, in different nodes in Gaia Sophia, but starting to experience that as one. It feels like a moment of breathing.
I just received a vision of like the eclipse, or like wearing glasses and suddenly the glasses can like go away. As it, yeah, it actually feels that we are just that as those false stories are dissolving, we are able to see the truth. And I started making a painting directly after the integration of 100,000 angels of light, and it is like symbol of 100,000 toroidal fields, but becoming one with the one big toroidal field, as they are all clicking into their right nature. As we are being clicked into our right nature, it's a funny way of expressing.
Yeah,
we are becoming one with the one source light, just very naturally. And yeah, I also received vision after One Cosmic Home meeting of Sunday. And my dreams I saw like in the cellars of the churches, or like old stuff being just material, and old paintings and statues being clicked into their right nature, like the dust going away. um, and the story of Adam and Eve in its original, being in its original state, the planting of the seed of the apple tree,
Yeah.
the crystalline apple. Yeah.
And the other thing that I was seeing that is now coming forward, just to also ground you, as you are giving expression to the 100,000 angels, because that was a very important moment, I remember. So the very last day that I was in that place and space, after moving through, going to visit different runes and places there, on that one day, I was alone for the whole day. And I knew I had to just go to specific places again, almost like a revisit. And as I did, what started to become visible, first it was just sensing of, and then it became visible, is I saw these, and I was very aware it was archangels. So I saw these angelic beings in their highest cosmic expression, and continue to hear from my most expanded place. It's archangels, but it's all expressions of a remembrance that it is the very arcing of energy that is allowing for the natural flow and circulation from the original Christed essence to move effortlessly in all dimensional directions simultaneously. And the highest expression, symbolized as archangels, it almost felt like all these archangels were standing in a circle, in a circular expression throughout the whole cosmos, yet simultaneously surrounded by each individual. And as I saw that, there was this deep remembrance that each soul is a reflection simultaneously of an archangel expression of their true cosmic nature. And through all the different levels and layers of existence, through all universes, galaxies, planets in our solar system, and all different levels and layers of Gaia Sophia, standing there in the center as a human expression, but simultaneously also the essence of an archangel, a reflection being received by all souls, because our true nature is an expression of the whole cosmos in our oneness with the one source light. It is all of that. And as we deepen in our remembrance of remembering that together, as we share our stories, we see how all of that weaves together as one body of sovereignty. And what that has supported me with was to see that as the structure, if I can use that language, as the structure of the archangels was there to support the expression of the different universes, it does the same so for galaxies and in our solar system as well. And the knowing and the remembrance of the depths of that is just to remember that each one of those places and spaces within the cosmos is a reflection of the codings of what we are grounding here, to know ourselves as divine humans. And what that means in essence for me is that our oneness with, and the remembrance of our oneness with our original source codes and the codex within our being and our true architecture, the oneness with that allows for the purity and the sovereignty of all the different expressions to be created with and through and as we all stand together and co-create that very homes and communities that we were all during our journeys of remembrance were seeking to create. The moment is here now to do so, because all those original codes of creation has been grounded through the very essence and expression of Gaia Sophia as our one cosmic home, centeredness, and essence. And therefore, we no longer have to recreate old stories. We're all here to create a very new story, a story of knowing ourselves as divine humans, as a collective humanity. As a collective, and also remembering that everyone else is at a different, perfectly sequential moment of remembering the truth and the depth of that. And we are here to support each other, to remember that. All of us that has grounded the codes over this, how many years that we've been on remembrance, but now we are doing that together. And all those crystalline codes, the original codes of creation through which that which we create is a reflection of the knowing of this, can be experienced, to know the depth of true love. And as we know and remember that in every moment, to give expression to that in whatever way, through a painting, through a poem, through creating something in our home, to create a new line of cutlery where the messages on the cutlery is encoded with this truth, for all of that to be reflected around us in the different ways.
So I'm hearing you speak. I feel all these different human parts of myself, the parts that are still afraid, and the parts that are creating the new story, because they are living simultaneously right now. And yeah, I think that is the essence of what we are doing right now, is being in the world where we are not fully crystalline, or we don't have we still carry the remembrance of the pain of the old story, but it's dissolving. And I just felt like sharing this. So the past year before giving birth to her, we've been through our own birth stories, Ward and me, just going through that and going through the pain experience and the remembrance before giving birth to her, because we didn't want to recreate that story.
Yeah.
And then just after the integration of 100,000 angels of light, my parents told my birth story in a completely different way. So everything that happened that was painful, apparently it didn't happen. It was such a weird moment. Like both me and Ward were like, um, huh? What happened here? Like it was rewritten in a way, and it feels rewritten. And then as the roses in my front door suddenly became white. I know I planted them as orange roses, but they became white roses. And just all these little synchronicities that show that the story is being rewritten, and it's just happening. We are the witness and we are doing it. And it also brings me back to like having all these symbols of the old story, but recreating the symbols through crystallizing the symbols and the crystallization of the symbol of Gaia, Sophia.
Thank you for sharing so powerfully how practically we are starting to see the shifts in our physical. So as the original codes of creation have been fully grounded and grounded in a way and through those who have walked their paths, who have cleared the story of Pistis Sophia, who has cleared the story of Adam and Eve. All those over all the many years that have done so are now all coming together in being a witness to that which is still evident in our collective humanity. Because in our collective humanity, our parents, and I'm not saying all parents are not connected in their full remembrance yet. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to be aware that there are many of those around us whose, not only them, but their parents, their family members, my own family members in our communities, that is still in the process of remembrance. So there's still this residue of stories of perceived separation that is still there. And you can go to a television and switch on the news, and it will be very clear that it is still there. But to remember that those are reflections of what was. Because it's so important to remember that all of that cannot in one moment just all dissolve and no longer be here. Because that will create chaotic experiences for those that haven't remembered yet. It will destabilize many aspects of a perceived world that was built upon, that which is not truthful or grounded in the true essence of the sovereign nature of creation. And to remember that when there is still a reflection around us, it is not, as I was told when I was younger, everything around you is a reflection of you. I remember I was very, very hurt by that, because what I was seeing around me at that stage was all in separatedness in reflections of not being connected to the truth of all that is. That was what I was seeing at that stage. And when I heard that, when someone said that to me, I was really disorientated and disturbed almost. And that has really supported me to go on to this journey of remembrance. And what that also supported me with was to know that there is a discernment that is required when we start sharing different stories with each other. To always remember that there is only one true guidance when hearing stories, and that is the wisdom of our hearts. That distress and disorientation that I was feeling in those moments were the voice of my heart. And when I started to listen to the voice of my heart, as all of us have, that is in the depth of our remembrance, that guidance, that inner guidance, our own authority, as you were saying, Nina, our inner compass, our sovereign compass, our Christ at heart, our crystalline essence, so many words can be given to it. That guidance is the guidance of our true source connection, the only true guidance that knows exactly how much to hear, how much to expand, how much to let go of, how much to remember in every moment. And if there's any form of uncertainty, to talk with someone that is deeply heart connected, to remember, because there's many moments that I did not understand any aspect of what I was experiencing on any level. And I remember when I wanted to talk to others, there was also this not understanding what I was saying on no, part of their own. It was just supporting me to move into a place of knowing where there's resonance and where, therefore, can I have a conversation with someone that hears and knows and understands the path, a journey, a remembrance, a sign, a discernment, because we are all here to support each other. And we are supporting each other to know how the guidance within sounds like. Nina?
Yeah, this is touching something very deep inside me, as I'm, having gone through a lot of spiritual communities, different, and see, because that's mostly what I've done if we talk about the years of cleaning and remembering, and seeing all of these different things that are not outer authority is preaching that is right, or not always saying, but a behavior, and we can zoom out and look at the leaders in the collective, but that wasn't, that's too much to go in right now, I feel. But what I wanted to say is that in all those years, if I would have been able to talk with you, for example, or with Ward, or with someone who has this resonance, it would have gone faster probably, because that is also what happened this year and last year, like the resonance, the connection, the co-creation, like the truth that is so deeply resonating in each one of our hearts. But the readiness and the openness to receive and to connect from that place is just the difference, I think. And yeah, I found your message of reaching out to each other, to, if there is any confusion, find it so beautiful and so, yeah, much needed as we are all growing into that sacred nature of being. It is still very, yeah, like you say, when you open your phone or the news, the other story is just there. And it's easy to go out of that resonance with source or your angelic nature, which I think is also needed to say that the angelic nature, because angels also in the collective, a lot of misinformation about that, I think. So that, to me, it feels like the angelic nature is our connection with the central sun and source that creates our angelic cosmic beingness, which can have many, many different words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and what I'm hearing is the importance. Thank you so much. The importance of discerning. And I know I've heard this word so many times, discernment, 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 but I truly know now what it means. When I look at my mother, who just believes what she reads or hears from another, everything in me wants to say to her to listen to her heart rather than to what others are saying. And then I remind myself, when I started to remember who I am, I also read and listened to all others, you know? And the overarching message is to remember that there are 8 billion people on earth, and therefore 8 billion different stories of truth, which is true for everyone, because all are expressions of the same source light in a process of remembrance, their true sovereign essence. And therefore, there is different variations of many different old stories that is still out there. And what I'm really starting to become present with and become present to is the search for a community, the search for a place where truth is spoken, where love is felt, where a place is created where people can just feel that they belong. It feels like that is where we are moving into as a collective. A place where we feel safe to give expression to that which we are seeing in the collective, which we are not in resonance with, that doesn't feel truthful, so that there is just a place to allow for that to be given expression to, for it to be witnessed, because that is what has served me into not only deepening into my remembrance, but also to, through doing so, ground the possibility of being in co-creation with others to create a community where that can be so. Because the one thing that I'm hearing over and over consistently is I was listening to that information because I just wanted to belong to a community. I wanted to feel at home with others, that the message starts to ring true for me, although I sense that it's not completely true, but I'm so in need to be part of a community. And then all of a sudden realize, oh my goodness, there's different expressions of truth here that I am not resonating with. And in that moment of discernment, to know that that was also exactly what our soul's chosen to experience, to really know what discernment means. And then to know that as we continue to co-create communities that is founded upon and grounded in the sovereign essence of the knowing of each one of us sovereign beings in direct source connection, to know that that is the community where you can experience all that you know you are here to experience and give expression to. So communities where we feel seen and heard, where we feel safe, where we feel held, but most importantly, where we feel we are sovereign equals. And to see each other as that and to co-create from there. I just wanted to be grounded now. Wow. Thank you.
It just brings me back to the creation of the story of love and the true story, as if we are born into a community or to parents that allow ourselves to express, you already feel like you belong. But if you are grown into parenthood or a community that you are being ignored or your needs are not met, you don't feel like you belong, you're not welcome. Well, it can be very subtle, and I think that we can give that to each other, and to an extent that we are connected ourselves to our angelic nature or to our true nature. But also for the communities to come, I think how we raise our children from the start is just such an important key to creating those communities and those the feeling of not the feeling, just being belong, to belong home, to come home, to be able to feel home from the very beginning and not feel neglected, not welcome, separated, in need of doing weird things to be able to be seen.
Yeah.
As it all starts from there. And yeah.
I love that. And to remember that not all of us, taking myself as an example and many others, not all of us are going to have a baby now and therefore experience that for ourselves. And two things important. Firstly, that for me being a witness to you and Ward that have chosen to co-create a crystalline child, Morena, to be a witness to that and part of is also allowing for me an opportunity to experience that for myself. So although there are many that is not going to have children, to remember, there are others, and they will come on your path to experience that. And then secondly, what is so important right now to ground what you are giving expression to, Nina, is that all the children that is now being birthed onto Gaia Sophia is being birthed from, through, and as that crystalline essence. And this divine human golden race that we are birthing or be a witness to that being birthed is the very first time in the evolution of humanity where we can know, see, and experience ourselves as that. And all the children to not only experience that as they birth into and through Gaia Sophia, through the souls of the mother and father they have chosen, but also through doing so, already therefore creating our divine humanity, our crystalline communities, our family structures, where that essence is there and experienced. And through doing so, having a clear knowing that as we continue to expand, as we are experiencing that we are all together grounding our divine human nature in all forms. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm deeply receiving all of your words, and like, yeah, I'm expressing how I'm experiencing everything right now, and I know that is very different for everyone. So I really don't want to. Not saying that everyone should have a child to experience this, but it's just so beautiful to be able to experience it like that, as I know I've been preparing for that, and or we have been preparing for that, all of us. And I'm not growing her alone. We are doing it in community through co-creation and through being able to connect with you and with other people through having this one cosmic home and then receiving the codes and then co-creating and creating this through the community or the collective that is right here now. Or as you say, like make a painting with those codes or
Yeah.
whatever that is true to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I hear you say that what comes to me in this moment is when I often heard this, what is the legacy you want to leave behind?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. This moment is the knowing that the legacy is that which we are all in the process of co-creating now. That is the legacy, to be the golden race, to be the angelic humans we came here to be. to be fully one with in the knowing that we are all that, to be connected in the connection that we know we came here to be connected to, and that is our connection to our true love, the eternal, ever-present, ever-loving field of creation of our one cosmic Mother Father, and Gaia Sophia as the essence and the expression and the reflection of Immaculate Conception for all expressions on Gaia Sophia, to remember their crystalline essence and nature because of connectedness with Gaia Sophia. So all crystals and all minerals and elements and plants and animals in our collective humanity, and all planets and stars and other galaxies and universes, all experience and know ourselves as that oneness, our cosmic nature, our true love and original connection to the source of all of creation. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think, yeah, my battery just is dropping my phone, but I think also I feel like
beautiful moment, yeah.
Yeah. I also felt like there will be a moment or time now, or at least for me, it feels like to get used to that inner compass that is there, to get used to that angelic nature that has authority or has its own compass. And yeah, while the old story is slowly fading, being cleansed by the waters. But thank you so much for sharing this very deep yeah, I don't know the word for it. Just what you shared, and may it flourish like all the flowers opening in their essence.
Thank you so much for being here with me, Nina and Morena, for the three of us to ground all the different keys and codes that we've given expression to through our individual stories of remembrance, and together as our unique expressions of our own individual source connectedness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you everyone for allowing us to be in your presence as you have received all the different keys and codes that has moved through us individually and collectively as one field of consciousness. May you remember the depths of your connectedness. Much love.